All right, guys. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Let me make sure I got my audio set up because I don't want to have that problem again. Give me 1 second. Yeah, looks good. Okay. So anyway, I don't know how long this video is going to be because I don't have a plan when I'm making this video. So there's a number of reasons why. It's going to be me kind of going with the flow. All right. So I do want to say, though, that one thing that's been on my mind pretty consistently is ENPs. And well, NPs in general, but ENPs because of this dominant extroverted intuition that they have, and kind of how it can create problems for their life. And well, not so much for them, but how other people see them, and then that angle of how people see them can affect them, making their life a little more difficult. So with that being said, I want you to understand that the ENPs, they have this struggle with their auxiliary function. I think it's because I say that extroverted intuition is very tempting. And it's tempting in the sense of people wanting to go out and look for possibilities or exploring the world of mental ideas. And in American society, I don't know what it's like in other countries, it's certainly not appreciated. And I think my other extroverted intuition video, I covered this, but I wanted to just not talk about extroverted intuition itself. I wanted to talk about these lives of these extroverted intuitives who feel like because they're judged by society that maybe their own self-worth is challenged. I know this is a particular problem with NFPs more than NTPs, who typically can take an approach and not care. NFPs, they have this world of values, and their values are built by their experiences, and their values are built, they have a value construct based on what they experience. That's FI. And when FI is always subject to people's abuse and people looking at these people and saying things that are not necessarily kind or considerate based on their type, I think it creates a self-worth issue. And I'm not saying this about anybody in particular, despite what some of you may think as I've talked to you, but it sparked a thought in me to make this video because I think that a lot of people struggle through the same kind of thing as I've talked to many ENPs or NPs in general. And so I think that their FI and their inner world is so concealed, because extroverted intuition is so tempting. It's so exciting to pursue the world of possibility, but it can also lead for ENPs specifically not to spend a lot of time in their introverted world or their judging world for the ENPs. And I think this makes them appear more flighty or more unable to make decisions or more challenged by things that they shouldn't have to be challenged by, because you know, they make a conscious choice to pursue their dominant function. Yet here we are, society, judging them for what is not beneficial to them. We're judging them for the things that are who they are. I think if we, you know, allowed an environment for these people to flourish a lot more and let their ideas come out, let their ideas be embraced, you know, and understood or listened to, and don't always make it about yourself. Make it about, I mean, I'm talking about people as a listener to an ENP or even an INP. As a listener, listen to what they're trying to get to. Sometimes for us TE users or NI users, it's not easy because we're trying to converge to a point. And we generally like to expedite that process. And it can come off as, you know, we think you're stupid. It can come off as we think you're incompetent. We think you're unable. We think you're dumb. We think your opinion or insight's dumb. That's not the case for me. I can't speak for all NTJs. But I can speak for me and say that is not the case. I think that for me, the biggest challenge is being able to be patient enough to let them kind of open up. I think that they have to use NE as a way to extrovert first, and then when they get comfortable, they can start using it to extrovert their own creativity to us, the rest of us, to the rest of the world. And that creativity becomes who they are, then you get to see who they are. So all I'm asking here in this video is that you guys got to give these NPs a chance. These NPs are people too, and I think one of the challenges is that we don't recognize on a normal basis, on just a standard basis, we're not recognizing that the person in front of us is still human, and we must uphold our human dignity. And I think that's where the big challenge is, and I think that's where people need to understand is that dignity is where we need to maintain, even with NPs who can like I said, any type, and I want to make this clear too, is any type can become frustrating or annoying to another type. Generally, intertypes, as in two people of the same type or similar types, such as INTJ and ENTJ, generally won't have the same annoyance because they speak pretty much the same language. But I think for a lot of other people, there's going to be a lot of type clashes. I think a lot of people, a lot of the NPs, especially the NFPs, don't feel heard by anyone. They have this world of expression and these creative ideas to, show the world who they are. And they start off with this ideas to, I think they're trying to build bridges with their relationships by, spurting out ideas and help form a common path to connect. That introverted feeling is a very soft place for them. And I think it's definitely a soft place for me, and it's inferior for me. So I can only imagine where it is on somebody who's auxiliary or dominant introverted feeling. And I think that's why they extrovert feeling first, and I think that's the big key, is understanding what's actually going on and giving them time to pass through this stage where they feel like they have to bridge these connections and they can start confiding in you. You'll find out that they're full of depth. You'll find out that they're full of life. You'll find out there's a lot of advantages to these people, and don't judge them because they may not be in the same place as you. They may not be, as empirically successful as you in some regard that you may be comparing them to. Not that NPs can't be successful, because they absolutely can. It's not my point here. But they typically don't even want to pursue such things. Their definition of successful can be something that society may not deem as successful. Out of all types, I think that NPs have the most anti-conventional methods of doing things. And sometimes they may seem unrealistic, but you know what? Sometimes being unrealistic is great. Realistic can be also very mediocre. And I think that we need to learn to embrace these types and stop judging these types for their actual advantages. We don't understand them, so we judge them. It's like, hey, we're gonna judge them because we don't understand this aspect, or we don't understand that aspect of them. Well, we don't appreciate the creativity that they have. We don't appreciate what they're extroverting into the world. We don't appreciate what they're doing. And that soul, that FI, or that TI even on the ENTP, that soul and who they are is not seen until they feel comfortable. And with an ENTP, not so much with an ENFP for sure. Okay, so the ENTP, different story, but it's the same concept. They have this world of logic that they're going to want to extrovert. So naturally, you may not feel as connected to them at first, but then there's going to be that point where you cross that bridge, and the extroverted intuition is just a part of them you can learn to appreciate. And I think that's why I'm making this video, is that they have an entirely different world inside their head compared to what they're extroverting. You don't know what's going on in someone's mind at any given point. You might think you do, but you really don't. At any given point, you don't know what their life experiences have been. You don't know what they've amounted up to. You don't know what they've done with their life. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know their history. Looking at me, everybody thinks, oh, well, you were raised real well, and you had a good family, and you had good values and all this stuff. And who your parents must have been. I get this all the time, by the way. Your parents must be real proud of you. They raised you really well. And I'm like, my parents didn't raise me. And then they're like, whoa, okay, what happened? And, I've built my own value system. I learned from myself. I've learned from life. And it's just assumed that people know what I've been through based on my surface, what I'm presenting, or, I'm very comfortable with public speaking. So, people think that I'm this impenetrable, super confident person, which I'm pretty confident myself, but there's sides of me that are just sensitive. And I don't mean sensitive to criticism. I mean sensitive to emotion. There's a soft, piercing part of me that I don't think anybody's going to see, and it's profound to me. And I don't know. I'm not saying it's any more better or any more profound than anyone else, because no one else sees mine, so I don't see theirs. That's my point here, is I don't know what they feel, but they don't know what I feel either. They think I don't have emotions, and I can definitely disagree with that based on my own personal experience. Now, I don't make decisions off my emotions. That's the different thing. That's the part that what myers-briggs cognition is. I don't prefer to make decisions off emotions or values or those things. I make my decisions primarily off of what's best and logical and most cause-effect, pros, cons, which makes me a thinking type. That's what the main difference is. Okay, so understand that when you're working with NPs, talking with them, understand that extroverted intuition is not an evil function. It's not a horrible function. It's not a dumb function. It's not a stupid function. It's drawing connections, and it's actually using more components of the brain than any other function, in the sense of how you can take something from one context. This is a physical, tangible object, but its essence, say it's like abstract, okay, what it is, okay, and you can take that and actually put it into a speech center and create a language off of something like this. That's called trans-contextual thinking. No other type can really do that effectively or naturally. Other types have to force themselves to think like that or read for a long time to pull them, that part of them, from the unconscious, whereas extroverted intuitive types, it comes to them naturally. And if you can't appreciate that, then you part of you missing. You know, I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that you know, I always appreciate them. I don't. But what this message is really for myself, and it's for the other people who are willing to understand that NPs aren't these horrible, dumb, flighty people who are just space cadets. They're just spaced out all the time. That's not the case. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of them, I think they suffer through ADD or ADHD. I think that's not, they're either misdiagnosed, and people are misdiagnosing their extroverted intuition as ADD. Whereas reality is that extroverted intuition is focused on mental novelty. They want very awesome experiences in their mind. Okay, they're not so focused on physical sensory novelty. It's all about mental novelty. Whereas NI doesn't care about mental novelty. That's the thing. There's no other function that cares about mental novelty like NE does. And if people can understand that, you understand that these people are living the life with their ideas. And everybody else can look at them and go, oh, you know, your type is you know, stupid, or your type is this. And my whole message has always been, you know, get rid of these stereotypes, get rid of these boxes that we're putting these types in, and understand people, and understand that myers-briggs is not their behavior. So you're going to have ENFPs or INFPs or INTPs or ENTPs that act like a fool, and then you're going to have the ones that don't. You're going to have the ones that are annoying, and you're going to have the ones that are not. And it's not about behavior, it's about cognition, which can influence behavior, but it's not that this type is going to do this, or this type is going to do that, or this type is going to do this, you know, or going to act like that. That's why when you see somebody ask me, hey, am I a SI user, SE user? I'm like, well, technically you're an all user, but I can't tell you what your preference is. Only you can determine that. I can tell you what I'm seeing right now, what you're writing with, but I can't tell you because I haven't observed you for the last 20 years and what your natural preferences are. I don't know. Only you know your character. Only you know your preferences. It's just about being honest with yourself. There's a certain awareness of what your preferences are. Like if you take up both your hands, you can kind of feel which ones are dominant. And just by, well, at least I can, taking both your hands and just feeling that one hand you have more conscious control over one hand than another hand. I can feel it just sitting here thinking about my hands. I know which one hand I'm going to have conscious control over, more so. That's a natural preference. I can train my right hand and get it really good at, you know, writing or reading or whatever, and I can train it, but it's just this natural conscious control. Okay, so that's what any people are doing. They're leaning toward the left hand where everyone else is over here, you know, and everyone else is judging them with this, hey, you're left-handed, you suck at life, you know, you're a horrible person, or you're writing like a, you know, lower classman, you need to go back to your right-handed writing. And that's the point of NPs, and why people need to understand is that they have a contribution to the world, and NE is very right-brained, which is creative. Okay, it's very right brain, where a lot of the other functions are associated with the left brain, and the NE has that Christmas tree-like pattern, just lights up all these different random asynchronic brain states where it's looking for connections between things. I mean, NPs come up with some of the best fiction novels. They come up with the best theories. They come up with some of the best abstract ideas. They come up with some of the best inventions. They come up with some of the best business ideas. They come up with, I mean, there's a number of things they come up with as a natural group of people who need to be more appreciated. And if we're not able to look at that and appreciate those things, then we're already failing our job as MBTI, Socionics, personality type, what is it called? The TKI. And we're failing as all these Phiro B. We're failing at all of our passions for, you know, personality typing and typology as what it really is meant to mean. It's meant to connect us. It's not meant to disassociate us. Oh, they're an ENFP, so I'm not going to date them. Well, if you didn't know Myers-Briggs, you might have considered it. But now that you know Myers-Briggs, you're actually separating them. That's discriminatory. And that's what I'm against. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. This video is not going to be, obviously it's not super informative. It's not something that it's like my other videos. It's just a message. It's a message that treat everybody with respect. Try to hear what they're saying. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged. I do it a lot. I'm telling you right now, I'm guilty. I'm working on it. And I think that if we all continue to work on these things, then we can, be a little more cohesive as a culture and be a little more cohesive in our relationships and understand these different types. Thank you.